Wonderful people, wonderful people. What's up? Welcome to the Antidote. My name is Ryan Virden. Thank you for being here. The Antidote is a space where we talk about the things that are making us sick, the things that are keeping us disconnected from each other, the things that, just don't make us feel good, keep us from being fully human. And most importantly, we also talk about the things that connect us, the healing that needs to happen so that we can be together and do something that maybe makes us a little happier, a little healthier, love a little better. And tonight's conversation is one that I'm just so looking forward to. Um, it's going to be all of those things, 100% all of those things. If you are joining on YouTube or Instagram, feel free to join the conversation. I'll be monitoring the comments. But this brother that is joining me tonight is somebody who I was just telling him off live, I guess. I had to take a second and just really geek out, not worry about being corny or none of that shit. He has had a profound impact on my life as a man, as a white person, as a writer, as an educator. And I've never talked to this dude in person. We've shared some social media comments, some text messages, have some mutual friends, but it is such an honor. You can tell I'm cheesing right now. I get to chop it up with Kiese Laymon. What's up, man? How you doing?
What up? So happy to be here with you, Ryan. Thank you, man. Thank you for your work. Thank you for just trying to
you,
talk,
man.
you know?
Listen, I'm about to tell these people. I remember I wrote a piece. I think it was the piece I wrote in response to teaching while white. They had asked for some white men to respond because white men in their sessions were just like, not really doing anything. And I remember, I don't know what came over me, but I was like, man, I'm about to send this to Kiese and see, like, I hope he posted or something. And you showed love, and I was just like, yo, I can write. This is like the fact that you weren't like, bro, just don't ever do this again. Don't disrespect my art. I was like, okay, I think I can do this. And so I'm telling you, man, Long Division, How to Slowly Kill Yourself and Others in America, the foundational, they're amazing, and obviously heavy. I'm like, I ain't even gonna lie, man. I couldn't read heavy right away because it felt, I was like, this ain't for me. Like, this is, as a white man, I need to let this breathe for a while. Like, this is not for me. There are certain things you wrote that I'm like, no, this was like, not that white people are ever the audience, but it was like, no, I can engage this in a certain way. And heavy was like, I need to let that breathe a little bit, and then I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna get to it for sure. Yeah. But it means a lot for you to be here, man.
I'm so thankful to be here with you. You know what's wild about that social media shit is I still sort of make the mistake of thinking like people who say they my friends are my friends. You know what I'm saying? Like I was like when you hit me, I was like, yo, get the chop up with Ryan and shit. I'm like, wait a minute, bro. Like you don't even know this motherfucker. Like, but you just assume a familiarity. So thank you for also assuming a familiarity.
Yeah, no, for sure. And the thing is, I remember the first time, actually, I got to shout him out. Sean Webster was the first person that put me on you. And I was sitting in Ancestry Books on the north side of Minneapolis. And he was like, man, check this out. He handed me How to Slowly Kill Yourself and Others.
Bruh.
And, but I had,
speak of the motherfucking geniuses.
Yeah, I was about to say, check out Without Terminus coming out. Yeah, Sean is a real one for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, and but I'm like, it's him, and then finding out you had a connection with Ali and had done work in Minneapolis. So I'm like, oh no, this is a real one. But speaking of that, we're talking about Minneapolis. I wanted to actually start with place because my work, I really think culture is rooted in place. And I think it means a lot to you. With me, I'm from Minneapolis, Northeast, all day, every day. It means a lot to me. And I think Mississippi and Jackson means a lot to you. So can you just talk, what does it mean to be from Jackson and from Mississippi right now?
Man, the right now part is the hard part of that question. I'm I'm gonna try to be honest with you, man. Like my grandmama died like a year, like a little over a year ago, and so I'm still trying to figure out what Mississippi mean to me generally. But Jackson, that was like my playground, like where I sort of became a boy, a man. People in Mississippi, I think, have have understand Jackson to be, of course, like this urban center, and also, it had a reputation historically of being like the place where country people might not necessarily want to be, you know what I mean? Like country folk see Jackson as a city the same way Jackson folk saw Atlanta as a city. So
Okay.
but most people I know in Miss Jackson, we got one foot in Jackson. If we were born there, I was born there, and one foot in some rural town was Forest, which is about 45 minutes, little little poultry town, 45 minutes east of Jackson. So I love it, bro. Like I feel I have such a duty to my space and my state, and definitely my city. Um, but yeah, I can always tell people from Jackson. I can't tell by how they dress, but I can definitely tell by how they like talk, and I can definitely tell how they like escalate or de-escalate situations. You can always,
Yeah,
I can see it.
that's
Yeah.
real. And that's crazy because I've never heard anybody talk about being able to tell where you're from by how you de-escalate or escalate a situation, but it's so real. Like
Yeah,
you
man.
could tell people from where they're from, like they give you that certain, like, in Minneapolis, it's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
And it's like, it
Yeah.
just got real. Like, be easy.
Bruh, I mean, man,
It's
when I
gonna
moved
go
up,
down.
I moved up north. Like, I got kicked out of school in '90. How to go to Oberlin, and I remember even just driving, drove me, and we were real hyped to get to Ohio because about Bone and shit. And we were like really into Bone. But anyway, once we got up north, I saw this in Ohio and Mississippi, bro. Like the motor mouth shit. You know what I mean? Like the motor mouth, like that.
Oh yeah.
We don't got that. We don't have that dude who talk. Like so. Like that's when I moved up north. Like I was just shocked. I was like, what is this motor mouth type shit? Because that's the opposite of that is, you just get to doing what you're gonna do. And there's a lot of
no, for sure.
Motor, like we're not really about that motor mouth type shit, Not
No,
really.
it's different too. Like, so I'm I actually live in Atlanta now. And so the difference between Minneapolis and Atlanta, it's like, oh, okay, you definitely pick it up. And hip hop kind of, you get a sense, you got a peek into it,
Right.
into Atlanta culture and stuff like that. But it's definitely different. Jackson had a different feel too, man. I was there with few years ago. Now, man, it might have been over 10 now. For the Jackson Rising Conference. I was actually there with Ali and Shaka M. Kali, elders and organizers. And Jackson just had a energy and a place. It was just like you could tell you were on sacred ground.
That's what it is.
That's the way that I could read. There's certain places where you're just like, man, God is present here in all the ways that means, right?
Absolutely.
In the ugliness, in the beauty, in the struggle, in the blood, the sweat, the tears, the laughing, everything. Like God is here. And I remember feeling that the conference was at Jackson State, but we walked a little bit, and this was before primetime was there and stuff. So it was
man. But y'all think about, I love that you were in Jackson. You were
we were in Jackson.
I was born right there, bro. Like right where you were. But the thing about Jackson that's just so wonderful to me is like I feel so small. Like when I'm like sometimes I talk to my friends and they're like, when you go home, you must, and when you go home, more people know you, but that's just because it's family. Like our family, it's like only like 8 families, so everybody sort of know each other. But I just love feeling so small, bro. Like it's just a smallness of Jackson that I feel when I'm there that I don't feel anywhere else in the world. And it's ironic too, because a lot of people know me as a writer there, but it ain't bigger deal than a motherfucker who can dress the flyers. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
On the block or something. And so I just like feeling small in my city, man. That's a great feeling.
Well, I think that's a great way to talk about just like what I think, something that sticks out about you to me, something that has drawn me to you and your work is you're one of the very few people that I think speaks publicly, unabashedly, and unapologetically about revision and about revising. And I think particularly in America as men, me as a white man, like the idea of revision is like there it takes so much courage. It takes so much like you can't have ego if you're talking about revising. And I remember we'd be in there, I'd see some posts and you would straight up be like, either telling people, hey, you have to revise. If you think you're a writer and you ain't revising, you ain't writing shit. Or you would say that you would post something, you'd be like, hey, this is the first draft. I'm about to come back and revise this, but I'm giving this to y'all right now.
Yeah.
And so I would just love to hear you talk about the role of revision for you, but for also for us as a community, for us as men.
Right.
What does revision mean?
I mean, revision can mean a lot, but for folks who identify as men, like, I hope it means that we have the wherewithal to just look back at 5 seconds ago, 5 minutes ago, 5 days ago, 5 years ago, and ask ourselves, what actually did we do, and were we the best we could be to whomever we were interacting with in that moment? And often it often means ourselves too. And so for me, when I'm talking about art, it's often like, yeah, like I need to look back at the art to make sure that I'm not like being abusive in the art, but I also need to make sure that the art is singing, and like, you know, like that I'm honoring all the people who made me when I do the art. But the hardest shit, bro, it's hard to look back at a text, but it's so hard to look back as a boy or man, especially when you get congratulated for looking back a little bit. Even this weekend, like I was upset. I had to go somewhere I didn't really want to go, and then the whole time I'm like being an asshole about going, and then I get there and I'm just like, why am I being an asshole about going? And then real talk was just like, because that's some man shit. You know what I mean? And then I had to, in the middle of the day, I had to be like, yo, I'm sorry for fucking just being an asshole about going to some shit I was invited to. Like, I need to honor that invitation and not bring all of the stress and trauma of the week to like somebody inviting my fucking ass to something I would have never gone. So I'm just saying, like, the hard part to me is that you can get into this space where you aren't intentional about your initial decision. So you can just be like, oh fuck it, I'm gonna revise it. You know what I'm saying? I think that works for art. Like you want to fill up a page and shit. Relationships, I sort of am afraid of those kind of where I'm like, hey man, we just gonna revise, so fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I get to revise, right? Like, no, I think we need to be intentional about those first drafts too, and we need to understand that nothing worthy comes without a second, third, or fourth one.
Yeah, man. I think that piece right there just unlocked something like that hit me hard of like this idea. And I think it's especially, I think it's a commentary, or I think about it as for white folks, right? My work is for my people, right? Like I'm a white cis hetero man.
Yes.
That's who I'm trying to engage with first and foremost.
I appreciate you doing that too. I know you don't need to claps and all that, but I appreciate
there's some people that don't. We're gonna talk about that too. But I think this idea, like white folks will be like, oh, especially anti-racist white folks will say like, okay, well, I'm trying to interrupt perfectionism, so I'm just gonna show up. And oftentimes the showing up is like, but you're not really doing the work of being intentional.
No.
And so you're showing up and then you end up like you might not have to actually revise as much if you would pause for a second first.
Right.
And so I really appreciate
but that's that lauding, dog. That's that lauding of just the like that lauding of like male presence, you know, in a weird way, like that Charlie Kirk got lauded just for fucking showing up and lying, you know, like, and even people, quote unquote, on the pop left would be like, hey man, at least he showed up and engaged. I don't give a, that's like Trump showing up to these press conferences. If you don't have no fucking moral center that you're tapping into, it don't take shit to stay there in front of every motherfucker and just lie. Like, so intentionality is everything. It's not everything actually, but intentionality is a big part of why it is not enough to just revise. You got that first act has to be intentional, and I think we have to be intentional with like a desire not to harm or hurt. That doesn't mean we're not gonna harm or hurt. But if you ain't going into that shit intentionally, not trying to do that, you gonna fuck yourself and other people up.
100%, 100%. Yeah, man. That's it's funny because hearing you now, is reminding of a story. I did not plan on telling this story, but I think I'm going to. So I'm divorced, and I remember when my ex, she wanted the divorce, and it had me messed up. Like my parents, we came up Irish Catholic, bro. I want to talk about Catholic school upbringing too, because you have in the worst of white folks,
Yeah.
and the sign of peace and the fart game, man. That was like, I think that was really where I was like,
Love each other, the side of peace.
I get him. Like,
Right.
but, I remember I was talking to she's a former friend now, but I was just livid. I'm like, man, I didn't cheat, I didn't beat her, I didn't do nothing. And she looked at me and was like, bro, you don't get trophies for that. Like, what did you do? What? You did the bare minimum. Okay.
Right.
And I remember it's like one of the things that I've done since then is really tried to look at that, right? That intentionality of how are you showing up first?
Yeah.
And then also understanding that how you show up first doesn't mean and doesn't need to be perfect. It won't be perfect as a matter of fact.
Right.
And then you can revise. But the showing up first is actually a really, really important part of that.
Absolutely, fam.
And then that's not even talking about the actual writing, and like you have to revise. Like you write some stuff and you got to actually change some.
But that's that thing where we think stuff is good because we did it, and there's something really cute in that. You know what I mean? Like there's something incredibly cute in thinking something is wonderful because you did it. But like we gotta kind of all sit in, I think, that belief that we all kind of think that shit is good. How come? Because I think it's good. But how come you think it's good? Because I think it's maybe maybe it's useful, but maybe it's not good. And I think that also kind of thing can be applied to like the making of men, right? Like I think just being a present man, I think makes people think you're a good man. Not being a violent man can make people think you're a good man, but I don't think those are the same things, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I was so preparing for this. I was, doing re-listening, doing some research, and like, all right, let me see what I want to talk to him about. And there's a talk you gave at the University of Chicago. I don't know, it was some years ago, but you actually talk about the ways that because of your background in like women's studies and access to that is a lot of women might have been looked at you and been like, oh, that's a good one, right? And that it could actually make you it actually allows you to cause more harm sometimes when people lower their bar. Like I have a dear friend of mine, she actually did the cover of my book. Shout out to Shanae. And every time I would talk to her, like we would do some work together, and she'd ask about the book, and I'd talk about it. I'd read a part of it. Like she's a Black woman, so I'm like, hey, make sure I'm not, I have some accountability measures in here. And she would read it. She'd be like, yeah, that's good. That's good. Give me feedback. And the last thing she would say all the time, and I hear it every single day, is she's like, just don't make better racists, Ryan. Like, because I had a level of trust and that, you know what I mean? And like, there were people who could put me in rooms and they had a level of trust, or they knew like, okay, he's done some work around this.
Right.
But still there was that like, hey, don't fuck around and make better racists. Don't give them a language that they can then hurt me. And that really, I'm like, I hear that, I think about that every day. And I heard that in your interview where you're like, hey, I feel like don't make better predators. Like don't make better harmful men.
Somebody whose work and who I respect actually said this about this other man yesterday. They were like, I was talking about this man in some other context, and they were like, no, the thing, you think that man is whack because of that, but they were like, this man is whack because this man, was a predator, but also made predators of all these other men. And I was just like, oh shit, like I didn't know that about that part. But that's, I mean, bro, like I think it's important to say that women's studies and being a women's studies major and wanting to understand feminism, it doesn't make you a more potent predator or man, but like you can use that shit to be much more potent. Do you know what I mean? I think the distinction is important.
You know what I mean? Especially if you're not intentional.
Exactly. Yeah. And because you're 19, 20, even if you are intentional, you are necessarily not going to get it right. And that's life, right? But I also think there's a difference between not getting it right and leaving a disastrous wake behind you, which is like what the worst of me has done, and I think the worst of some of us, and continue to do.
Yeah, man, and you are taking us right into the next part, like, because I think this idea of revision as a white man, and I was I don't know if you knew this, I was a history teacher, classroom teacher for like over
Mhm.
a decade,
Mhm.
and so the idea of revision was always what white people did to their history.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it was like, oh, if you're a revisionist, that was somebody that didn't tell the truth. And
I
now,
re-
as I think about it, though,
Right.
I'm like, there's a huge difference between lying and revising,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like, and I think white people straight up lie
Right.
about
Right.
what that is. And um, I see you and your work very much asking white folks, not asking, demanding white folks and demanding of whiteness a level of truth telling.
Right.
And then maybe we could then talk about how we revise like I'm talking about me now as a white person to other white people, like given that this is the truth, now how do we revise to become more healthy, to become more full, to become part of community? And the language that I think you use, for me at least, it resonated because I came to this when I took Baldwin seriously. When
Oh.
Baldwin says whiteness is a moral choice, right?
Right.
And he says,
Right.
as long, if you think you're white, there's no hope for you. And it made me realize, like, okay, there is a level of revision in the most healthy sense that's possible if we can tell the truth about what whiteness has done to us, right? There's a level of humanity that we can then come in and be like, all right, some of this was human mistakes that are natural. Some of this is whiteness and what you call the worst of white folks. And I'm
Right.
wondering if you could just talk about like
Yeah.
that idea, right? Like the worst of white folks, because in that article you even mentioned, I think I wrote it down. You call it a pathetic, powerful it.
It's the if, man. I
Yeah,
mean,
and I think people don't realize that, right? Like I think so. My work in this book I just put out is meant to say like whiteness is not a biological thing.
no.
It is a worldview. It's a moral choice. It's this
Right.
thing that we can revise from. Actually,
Right.
like if I'm
Right.
gonna use this language in this conversation,
Yeah.
like if we can tell the truth about it, we can actually mitigate some of the harm that whiteness is doing. We could just do harm as humans,
No
right?
question.
Like we're not going to be perfect, but it's a different type of harm. It's like it's not as destructive.
Right. Yeah,
It's a
man.
harm that you can bounce back from and be a better human from.
Right. Right.
Whiteness doesn't allow that space because it lies
No.
about itself all
No.
the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wonder if Americanness does, and I wonder what the differences are. But like for me, man, like I mean, I just wish I just wish people, I wish we all, but I just wish people definitely would stop allowing it to dictate like how we dream, how we imagine, how we fucking like accept love, accept sex, how we ask for consent. Like the worst of white folks and whiteness, it demands um the worst of us. And it demand and that's the thing about it is that it's so sick, bro. Like being from Mississippi is like the best thing in the world for me as a writer because you see in Mississippi these white people who grew up with my grandmama in their houses, fucking changing their children. Like meaning my grandmama is intimately involved with these white people, making their food, fucking doing all of this shit and they talk so much about how they love my grandmama, and then they don't want to send their children to school with my grandmama, the best
Right.
thing in their house. So, like when I talk
The
about it,
closest thing to human that they
closest,
have, like
the
the most
closest thing
fully
to
human.
the closest thing to the best of human, the best of human, and
Right.
complicated itself. But in relationship to that whiteness, it's like black people have given white people every reason in the world to fucking like praise us, not fucking fetishize us, because like we have looked at y'all, have not treated y'all motherfuckers with shit, and y'all motherfuckers just still, for whatever reason, need to see the worst of yourselves in us. And so my thing is we need to call it what it is so we can reckon with it. And yes, I would hope white folks definitely sit and reckon with white people who are racialized as white. I would hope they sit and reckon with that with what that is. But the fucked up thing is everybody in this world has to reckon with their relationship to it. That's why I appreciate you understanding it as a it. And that is not, I mean, when I say that, I'm not trying to like take responsibility off of people. I'm trying to be like, yeah, motherfucker, like we have reduced ourselves at our worst to it. And some of us have reduced ourselves to being like dictated by its whims. And some of us
Yeah.
can't control being dictated by its whims. So, you know, that's all I'm trying to say. And that is like it like when people are insistent on beating themselves up, you kind of gotta like actually describe what's happening. And you can fuck around and think it's you. And it kind of sort of is you, but it's not you in relationship to that person. That's all I'm trying to say in my word. Like, I'm not trying to be like black people are saints at all. But in that relationship, in that relationship historically and in my region, I don't know how you could treat people any better than how we've treated white folk. Real talk. And that's the worst. That makes me the maddest.
Listen, I say this, and sometimes folks, and they might be in the comments after we post this and all that, like, oh, see, I knew he was this guilty, like da da da. But I say this just as like factual observation. I don't know of another group of people that sees the best in people more than black people and black women particularly.
Oh, 100%.
And I'm just like, I'm like, well, like, damn, you still like you showing up and you're voting, you're showing up and you're doing this, and then the one time that group of people is like, you know what? I need to fall back because y'all done put this maniac back in the White House, and now we're not gonna tap out completely, but we're gonna let y'all kind of see what take the lead on this thing for a little bit, and they catching wreck for it. And so it's this thing, and and I don't know if we want to go there here because I think it's a conversation, quite frankly, just that white folks need to have, where it's like, yo, there's this certain element in anti-racism that's like, hey, we can't be front and center. We can't center whiteness. And I get that. I really, really do. And if you can't describe whiteness or you can't center whiteness, you actually don't know how to fight it. So Zeus Leonardo says we actually need to center whiteness for its strangeness. Right. And that's where, I'm like, how are we going to actually be effective as white folks in this? And not turn around and look at particular black folks, black women, or our immigrant neighbors and stuff like that and say like, yo, tell us what to do when they're the ones most under attack. Right. And we can't figure it out on our own. Like we don't have enough of a moral center and enough integrity or enough humanity in us to be like, you know what? I don't know exactly if what I'm going to do is right, but I know that shit needs to be interrupted and we're going to stop it right now. And I think that's scary though, because part of me that gives hope, and I'm proud of my city for this, is like, that's what Renee Good and that's what Alex Preddy did at some level, right? I don't know either one of those people personally, so I didn't have conversations. I can't tell you what their critical analysis was or what that was, but I know that they put their bodies between it, the pathetic, powerful it, the worst of white folks, and something that resembled humanity.
Right. And in doing that, like, what I love about this conversation is that, yes, I think part of being the best human we can be is loving and taking up for our neighbors. But also sometimes we have to understand that when we take up for our neighbors, we're taking up for ourselves. And that's what I want to see in Alex and Renee. Like, it's people who realize, yes, like I have responsibility to fight for my neighbors, but also this is an assault on me as a white people. Like, y'all doing this shit in our name, whether or not you motherfuckers want to agree or not. And no, you're not finna do this, bro. Like, and I just think we need much more of that in white folk, but in a whole lot of different people in this world, in this country, around a lot of different issues, but definitely around like what ICE is doing, and what the nation encourages ICE to do. I think that's the harder part,
And I think that exists on so many levels because, I mean, it's kind of cliche, like we're all in this together and all that. And I don't mean it in that cliche way. I mean that very, very seriously, right? But then there's also like there's the literal, like, the shit that they do to the most oppressed is gonna come back to you, right? Like that them cutting funds, them cutting, SNAP benefits, I'm coming at poor people. You talk about this. Jonathan Metzl, Heather McGee, there's so much documentation of like, yo, white people aren't exempt from this violence.
Oh,
right. Like expect like we're not exempt from this violence. And then and this is where I think people kind of I would argue that it gets too real for folks, is that there's a real spiritual violence that happens when you don't stand up for that. Like, I firmly believe that. I believe it erodes whatever we call human inside of you. When you look at shit like that and you're like, you know what? Let me come up with some ways to contort that and make this sound like it's okay. Like, we dropped bombs on babies. Like, there's whole genocides being live streamed. And we're literally having to both sides stuff. Like, I don't think that comes without consequences to your soul.
Oh, I mean, it doesn't. And I don't, and I'm not one of these writers or teachers who try to tell people what to think or feel. But I do, and I'm, sometimes I can lapse into letting Baldwin be perfect, and Baldwin is definitely not. But when Baldwin said, you pay a price for the life you lead, and you pay the price with the life you lead, I think we have a hard time. I think Christianity makes us have a hard time in understanding that shit, because we like, oh, Trump dropping bombs. We can't wait to see the bomb dropped on Trump, motherfucker. Like, that's the bomb. Like, you ask, I have a soul, right? Here's the thing about my soul. My soul would rather get bombed by a gazillion million fucking bombs than to bomb one child. My soul ain't bombing no motherfucking kids. My soul. Never. Yeah. And I don't think your soul, I'm gonna tell you something. I don't think Donald Trump's soul is so. That man and the people who made him have allowed something to overtake their souls and bomb children. And here we are talking about I can't wait for them to get there. Now, I want the motherfuckers to get their get. I want to get our lick back. I want them to get that, but not because I want them to come, I want them to get what they know, because those motherfuckers are in the way of us learning how to love and be better, right? They're in the way of that. Yeah. But I'm under, part of me is like, if I want them to suffer more, I want the motherfuckers to never get God. You know what I mean? The problem is they just hurt so many other people. But like, if you believe in souls, you have to understand, you bombing kids, then lying about bombing kids, my nigga, like, what the fuck is that? How you bombing kids, lying about bombing kids? We saw you bomb kids. Now you say somebody else bombed kids, and we over here being like, man, I wonder when Trump is gonna get his, bruh. That's a motherfucker who bombed kids.
Right.
We saw you do it. And now you want some like, well, we got to research it, bro. Like, I don't think souls get any. I don't think I could wish for anything worse to happen to that man. But he has children who some of us might want to see suffer. And I'm just saying I'm just trying to say, I'm not trying to be like, I want them motherfuckers to live forever. But I do think living forever would be a very, like, they bring a lot of suffering, and not just to us,
Man, and that's I think the worst part is, and we talked about this a little bit off the recording, but like, I come from hip hop. Like, hip hop is all that, and so I'm like, when you see stuff like that, it's like, yo, okay, I got you. Like, I know exactly how to handle this.
Right.
And you can look at dude, and he's just playing in people's face. He's acting like, oh, I don't know how they got that tomahawk. Like, we sold them it, but I don't know how it came back around and got, like, what? You expect us to believe that shit? Like,
he challenges me, bro. He challenges me as a man, because I was talking to Darnell about this, because he's so fucking weak. You know what I mean?
Crazy.
He's so fucking, and I know part of what we need to be doing is contending with like why weakness is something we don't want. We need to do that. And when I say that, I'm saying that the bars that bind like this man and you and me and all of us, like, which are patriarchal fucking, like, misogynist bonds, we have to work hard to not lapse into wanting to dominate everything, because I think patriarchy is powerful. And so when I say he weak, like, how you allowing everything they told us manly men to be, but except courage? My nigga, like, where the fuck is your courage? Like, where's your courage at? Like
protecting anybody. Like even if you fall into like the tropes of like men protect their people, like who exactly are you protect? Like
nobody.
You wouldn't bust a grape in a fruit fight. Like I'm supposed to believe
and
your
this is what I'm saying. It challenges me, dog, because you only fighting people you know you can beat on a military level. You only swinging on people who ain't got the weapons you got. Like I'm saying, like even the worst of masculinity we grew up like being taught was like men don't do that. Like that's what I'm saying. He challenges me because he's 100% weak. He's so, and you know he never got his ass whooped. You know what I'm saying? And on my
I think that's the worst part.
If I saw this motherfucker in front of me, like when my hips fused, I'm swinging, dog. Like, and I don't know, like, which also means he don't surround himself with men, because any man, if I did a 16th of what that man did today to somebody, it's some women around me that's beating my motherfucking ass to the ground.
100%.
That was so. But what I'm saying is like this is all messed up to say, but he challenges me in a lot of ways because I'm like, yo, you weak. You saw all of the things we're not supposed to say. I feel about this dude.
Yeah. No, I definitely feel that. The number one thing I say about the Trump administration, like my dad will call me every once in a while. My dad, he just got his jaw shattered by a flashbang. And so NBC covered him. So he went out there and this dude, the NBC interviewer. So we're on a Zoom interview, bro. And Pops, I'm sorry if this embarrasses you, but I got to tell this story. He got his whole jaw wired shut. He got like 20 stitches through here because it was so shattered. They had to go in through his neck to put 5 plates in.
Damn.
And we're 2 days after this surgery and the NBC interview. You know, they're doing their thing. They're verifying facts and all that. And they asked him something about like courage or something that was like it hit this masculinity thread. So he's like sounding like Kanye through the wire, like
wow.
And really what he's like, man, this dude is like he's a bully. And my dad is saying, like, I fight bullies, is essentially what he's saying. Like the thing you do with bullies is punch them in the mouth. And there's something about that feels so right and so natural to me. And to your point is like, that's not the world I want to live in, where like where that, like, if you're bigger, badder, tougher, you got quicker hands or whatever it is that you get to decide.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Like that's not the world I want to live in. And there's just something where I'm like, you know, I'm a restorative practitioner, all that. And I'm like, sometimes I look at people and I'm like, you need to get punched in your mouth one time.
I hate that I feel that, bro.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and I don't know what to do with it. I'm not saying it's right at all, but really, I'm like, you need one time. You need to get punched in your mouth, and then we can repair. I hope that you can. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want you dead, but we can repair,
right?
And we'll figure it out.
And for me, it's worse because it's not even. He needs to get stomped out. Like I have seen people get stomped out for nothing. Do you know what I'm saying? For offending the idea of a tennis shoe. Like this man need to get stomped out, bro. Like and let's hope, because we believe that everybody has possibility to renew and revise. Let's hope after the motherfucker gets stomped out, they could come breathe anew. But
listen,
I know he need to get stomped out. I know that.
Hey, it reminds me. So we were talking about him. Ali is one of my favorite rappers, top 3. And on Shadows on the Sun, Dorian, he says, hey, somebody need to beat your ass and teach your ass, and I can only do half. Right. And sometimes that's just what it is.
But this is what all your work is about. It's also, and I know I sound like I sound very young, and that's okay when I say this, but this is what they always say. You know, when brothers mess up, it's like, man, I want to, like I want to know who's around him. Ja Morant, like I want to know who is crew. Like, bro, who are you? We see who your crew is, and we see how weak they are. But like that says everything. Like the fact that you can do this much damage and people around you haven't institutionalized you says everything, bro. Like if I went and tried to do what this man is doing to 3 of my friends, my other friends on earth would make sure would incapacitate me. Like they would have,
even if they're not even that cool with the people. Like it's still like, no, that's not how we rock.
Because I fuck with people who love people, And they're like, we love Kiese, but this motherfucker causing too much harm right now. We kind of got to invest in a kind of collective harm reduction, so we gonna blank. Like the fact that this cat is so unloved in this weird way. He started a movement, but he's so unloved, bro.
And you can tell he's just not. You could look at him and be like, "Yo, you are like, you're empty. You're like, you're just this shallow like bag of bones. Like you just look empty and decrepit and that and like I think that was one of the things that was it came out kind of, and I wish it would have been more of it became a joke as opposed to like a serious opportunity for analysis when I forget that photographer's name. They did the pictures of all the cabinets, and it was like, they looked all fucked up, right? And everybody was like, look at how whack they look at these ugly ass motherfuckers. And I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, I laughed a couple times about it, but also like there's a real opportunity there to say, like, what is that? You know what I mean? Like, what is that? What's happening? And for me, that's what when I say whiteness is destroying us, that's what I mean. I mean that you could, Crazy Horse didn't allow his picture to be taken. You believe that was, so like there are people throughout history who are like, nah, because they believe you could see something in that, right? And I don't know if I necessarily believe all of that, but I believe a part of that at least.
Absolutely.
Enough where I can look and see like Stephen Miller's picture or Marco Rubio and be like, you are a hurt, dangerous man. Like empty, void. You have not like whatever piece of humanity is buried deep down there, and somebody needs to love that part out of you because you're causing a lot of harm. And I don't know what that. Honestly, I don't know who that is or what you need to do with that. But to your point, also, it's like the first thing we got to do is stop harm from happening. So like somebody needs to come up and snatch them up. I'm like, my grandma was snatching my ear. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, where's the grandmas pulling their ears out?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Where's the white? That's just my whole thing is like, where's the white family? Y'all got all this shit to say about black families when we cuss in public. Where's the white family? Can y'all come say where are the white schools at? How did y'all fail this man so poorly, so badly?
Listen, for real, and not even take it like, and again, like. It's crazy because Christy Noem's thing became like where she out shooting dogs and shit, and it became a punchline as opposed to like, yo, there's something like largely dysfunctional about how you raise your family. You bragging about giving your kids a chopper and shooting and stuff like, and we got something to say about how any other group of people is raising their kids or living their lives. Like you are out of your mind,
right,
out of your mind, and not in the like. I think I say that, and I say that with all the love for my people. Listen, I love white people, which is why I'm like, yo, can we talk about what this has done to us? Like, can we go get our people? Like, what is happening right now?
And how a small group of white people are just playing the fuck out of all. But at some point, we have to be like, I'm just saying as a black person, sometimes I can be like, oh, them billionaires or them northerners playing the fuck out of these southern white people. And yes, that is true. But I also feel like these southern white folks, for example, and I would say northern white people too, they wanted a mascot. It's not like they're just being completely duped, right? Like this is the thing I think we have to be very, very clear about, fam. Like for whatever reason, I think people wanted to vote for the person who they believe was going to make suffering like most sexy looking for from their point of view, right? Like it's sexy to see trans kids suffer, it's sexy to see fucking Mexicans suffer, it's sexy to see like Arabs and Muslims, always sexy to see black people suffer. But how come it ain't sexy for us to see motherfuckers suffer? We grew up in America too. How come we ain't trying to see it? I'm not trying to be like, we have a relationship with the Democratic Party that I think we need to talk about a lot. And you can always tell we are trying to do some sort of harm reduction when we do this voting. We not hype usually to fucking vote Democratic, but like, why? Why is there fucking no, you know what I mean? They scolding black men because 80% of us voted didn't vote for Trump. 80.
Right. 80%.
80. And that was like, wrong with y'all. Like,
can you explain Trump's record-breaking support in the black community?
80% of poor motherfuckers, rich motherfuckers, like we was just like, yeah, that's some shit we don't want to fuck with. Why didn't you? Well,
And in the meantime, upwards close to 80% of my people, white men, are out here advocating for
That's
it.
what I'm
Get
saying,
giddy
bro.
about it. Like
Right.
it's a lot of work for us to
It's
have
a
to
lot
do,
of
man.
work.
There's a lot of work for us to have to do for sure. I think about that. That's actually to the next thing, like because we've been talking about this like masculinity thing, and I mentioned heavy, and like I said, it took me a minute to get into that. And one of the things that stood out in heavy, and we've kind of touched on some of the elements here, but your man, like without sounding too much of like like I'm fanning out right now, but I'm going to is like there's not a lot of dudes that I'm like, damn, you just put me on another level of what it would mean to be a man. And Heavy did that because you that first page, man, you're just like, yo, I wanted to lie. I wanted to lie to everybody.
Yeah.
Like, and how I understood this, and I'm curious if you actually did. Like, I read that and I'm like, damn, this man wrote a whole book and scrapped it. You
Yeah.
want to talk about revision and
Right.
like truth telling and what it means to be vulnerable and to be a man? Like, I was floored. So one, I just wanted to like extreme gratitude as a man for that, but also like talk to me a little bit about what Heavy did for you as a man and how it might have evolved, how you understand
Mhm.
masculinity, healing, things like that. Because
Yeah.
I can't imagine reading that book and thinking the same way after as I did. I certainly can't imagine
That's
writing.
that's a great. I mean, the answer is like it's two tier because like what I wrote in that book, like like the journey to find those sentences was so kind of revelatory, right? Meaning that like I was trying to write and write until like the sentences were like, I got you. Like I feel like a lot of times we try to run and run and all that kind of shit.
Yeah,
So, all of that, it helped me be a better person, it helped me relate better to myself as a sexual being, as a fat black person, as a person with a mama, as a person who's had sexual partners. But the flip side of it is that like to make it, I felt like I had to punish myself. So like I'm just
mm,
now kind of that book been out 7 years, oh shit, 8 years. And I'm just now kind of like because I just wrote this other thing and I kind of committed to not beat myself up the same way I beat myself up to write that book because I kind of thought like it's not enough to write hard. You have to like it has to hurt to make.
mm,
And that could be true, but I also wasn't, I wasn't tending to myself. I wasn't, I mean, it's gonna sound corny, but I wasn't drinking a lot of water. I wasn't stretching. I wasn't fucking like, just moving. I wasn't trying to commune with trees. Like I
yeah,
was just kind of like, this shit hurt, and I got to get it. And so I think I just think it's both sides. Like I was trying to do like that manly shit, work till you can break your back. I
yeah,
was trying to work to break your back to kind of like excavate the worst of what masculinity had done, what I allowed masculinity to do to me. But I don't think you can. I think both. I think there's. I think you have to. I don't think you can do both. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. So that's what it was.
that's real.
Yeah.
That's real. What has been all right? So yeah, I might ask this. I think we got time for that. What has been the most surprising thing for you since Heavy? Like what has there been anything that's surprising that surprised you about either how it's landed or about revelations you've had about yourself, revisions that you've made, you know what I mean? Anything like what has been
I mean, man, I could say so many things. One I'll say is that to write a book like that, you kind of sort of have to believe that your book will if taken by people could move it. When I was writing that book, I'm trying to write about our relationship as a nation to fatness and blackness. I'm trying to write about our nation relationship to gambling. I'm trying to write about our nation's relationship to like education. And then so 8 years later, it's like all the shit I was trying to write about, like, is all worse now. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
and I'm not trying to be like I'm still trying to be some superhero, but it's like shit. You write a book like that, you trying to fucking stop the world from getting worse, and the world got worse. And then you also trying to stop your family from lapsing into like really fucked up behavior that there ain't no coming back from. And in some way, my family like brought the best of them. You know, we've been the best that we've ever been, and in many, many, many more ways. That book, you know, made it harder for us to be better. So like that sucks. And you know, it changed my life financially, but it also changed my life in terms of like respect from my peers. And I'm like a rapper's baby too. You know, I grew up on that hip hop shit, but
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
grew up in that era where like all you kind of want is respect. You know what I mean? So like that book got me my respect. You know what I mean? Like you can I mean, I'm not big headed, but you can't never be like that motherfucker didn't write a good book. You know what I mean? So that means something.
Bro,
Where I'm from, that should mean a lot, dog. Like so, like you
yeah.
know, I'm glad I could get my respect and shit. I just wish I would the process of making that book, I would have been better, and not so closed off into a hole. And you know, I fucked myself up writing that shit. And but
I'm sorry to hear
I also
that.
wrote a good book, you know.
And maybe that's the only way it could have happened.
I hope not, bro. That's just what I'm saying.
I hope
Like,
not. I mean,
I hope
but
that's
like,
not the truth.
I hope you don't have to repeat that process,
I'm
right?
not
Maybe it's
repeating
one
that.
of those where it's like,
Yeah.
all right, this is what happened here, and I'm gonna do that. Man, I hope you take this in the spirit that it's meant, because it's meant with like deep respect and gratitude. But I feel like, also to both of these dudes that I'm about to talk about, who I'll never meet or anything like that, but I feel like, long division, and I realize they're different genres, so it might be a clumsy metaphor, but I'm like, long division and how to slowly kill yourself. I think about those two, like, because you put them out right back to back, right? So I'm like, I read them both, like, thinking 1 week I finished How to Slowly Kill Yourself, and then it was like Long Division, and I was on my Marty McFly shit. Like, I love this motherfucker.
Right.
But those feel like reasonable doubts, like slept on classic, and heavy is like Illmatic. No matter what anybody can say about you, it's like, that motherfucker still did Illmatic. Like, he might be offbeat in 30% of it.
I know that's right.
He did Illmatic. Even Jay,
Man,
like,
that mean the world.
You got a dope album. You got one dope album.
Right. That mean everything. Cause that mean everything to me, man. That Long Division at the time, you know, it's like a rapper. You like, man, I got one shot. You know, I feel like I feel like I got one novel shot. I got one essay shot. And you know, you like, life was hard. And I was like, fuck it. You ain't gonna live out, you ain't gonna be alive much longer. Just, you know, and so you just get them out. And so just to hear that you feel like some meaning was gathered in them two jokers, that mean a lot, bro.
Bro, I've taught Long Division so many times. I was making that motherfucker fit. Like, they're like, these are not your standards. I said, listen, that's your standards. Let me tell you why this is relevant to our kids' life. And I use so many essays from How to Slowly Kill Yourself. That's a staple for me. Yeah. Matter of fact, I'm teaching right now in Justice and Peace Department. I'm teaching nonviolent resistance.
Wow.
And we just read The Worst of White Folks, because we're understanding the way race plays, and like that you need a movement of anti-racism, not against white people, but against the it. Right, the pathetic, powerful.
Absolutely. I mean, thank you for that, because I think that is.
Oh man, thank you.
That is the word.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, I got one more question for you. I was like, man, it's gonna circle us back to place.
Okay.
I don't think I could ask you about being from Mississippi and not ask you what it was like to see sinners in Mississippi, and particularly in that essay, you talk about your cousin in Chicago. Right, and you kind of imply you are like, hey, there ain't, you know, like, this shit. So there's the worst of white folks in Chicago, just like there's the worst of white folks down here. And there's that line in Sinners where he says, like, man, Chicago just Mississippi with skyscrapers.
That's a great line, bro.
Great line, man.
You know what? Like, I'm in Houston, and I didn't get to see it in Mississippi. But I think, but here's what I think is complicated. Like, you know, where it's set in the Delta. I mean, I think people talked about this before. Like, you know, actually, like one of, if not the poorest region in the country, and like that movie brought so much incredible money, I think, but also like attention to that place. But a lot of people in Mississippi that I know, they love the attention. But this is the thing of like, it's like if somebody made a movie about Northeast Minneapolis. you know, them motherfuckers were like, we don't talk like that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right, yeah, you didn't tell that, right?
but not on no disrespect. Like, oh, we respect you so much for what you're doing, but you know that ain't how we talk.
Yeah, but you got that shit wrong, motherfucker.
Yeah, but that's what I hear a lot from my people. But that's so Mississippi. It was like Ryan Coogler, the greatest director ever, because he made it. But you know they ain't get us right? Like, so, like, I just think that we can hold both of them. You know.
Hey, if that ain't like the perfect. So one of the things that I try to, and my elders and my mentors have been telling me is like, yo, it's always the both end, right? like, and there's so many different iterations that people and sayings have of that, but like, I think that's a perfect spot, man. It's just like, it's we're all the things, right? And like, I think most, like, when I think about the antidote, what I hope this show does is offer us some sort of avenue to say, like, man, we're all in this thing together and we're only gonna get better together. And there might be certain things, right? Like, I have a particular job to do as a cis hetero white man to unlearn whiteness and to combat whiteness and patriarchy and heteronormativity. And it ain't gonna look exactly the same as yours. But at the end of the day, we're trying to get to this place together, and it's gonna be imperfect, but actually that imperfection is where all the beauty's at. Like, I think Cornel West talks about the blues and the mess, and like, you know, I mean, like, to me, that's the shit that matters, man. Absolutely, like, bro. I want to know how we get there. I don't, you know, like, wherever you got, cool. But I know lots of people that got there on some foul shit, on some fake shit. Right. I want to know all the mess. I want to know the mistakes you made. I want to know the time that you had to come back and be like, damn, I was fucked up. Right. Like, my bad. Like, I want that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want that. I want to be able, and maybe that's what draws me to like repair so much is like, I think that process, back to our conversation of like, man, I've been hit in my mouth and I've hit a few people in their mouth. And honestly, a lot of them motherfuckers are my friends right now, today. Like, that was our first interaction, was like, that's love. Like, hey, you ain't gonna talk about my short ass on the basketball field. That's love. I'm gonna sit my ass in the corner and hit this three, though. I love it. So yeah, man, that's like, I appreciate you joining me tonight for this conversation, because that's what draws me to you and your work so much, is like, it just feels so perfectly human, because it's so imperfect, and you're not afraid to say like, hey, I might not have got this shit right, but this is what happened. I know I didn't get it right, but this is what I think happened. Yeah. Yeah, man. So I really, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much, and your work, man. Thank you so much. Absolutely. You know, look, I'm gonna still be sliding in on the comments and talking about Ron and for me. Listen, I gotta say, man, is there any world where Ant-Man ain't in the top 10 in the MVPs? Top 10. You gotta be top 10. I thought you were gonna say top 5. He's not in none of them. What? None of them, man. That's why I was just texting with my brothers like, this shit's crazy. My barber down here, I was just at the shop today, right outside downtown Atlanta. You know, he's from here, and they were not happy. Like right above him, like 9. Who they got like Bro, they had so many people. They talking about SGA just sealed it last night with the 3 to beat Denver. But I'm like, man, NBA, but they playing with us, bro. They put a different dude up every week. He was Wemby last week. Ant-Man, he gotta be top 10. Yeah, Ant-Man gotta be top 10. But what are they ranked 4? What are they, 4 or 5? They're bouncing back and forth. I don't know where they're at right now. Yeah. I mean, but I'll tell you what, Ant-Man, I know nobody better not put Luka up there if Ant-Man ain't up there. I'll tell you that. Like, listen, I'm about to look. I'm about to find it. I'm gonna tag you. All right. Yo, thank you for this, bro. I appreciate you. Hey, yeah, thank you. Hey, if you're watching, you haven't checked out Heavy, you haven't checked out Long Division, you haven't checked out How to Slowly Kill Yourself and Others in America, please do. And then if you're so inclined, check out Breaking the Privilege Frame, my shit. I do appreciate that. Thank y'all for joining me on The Antidote. Kiese, thank you so much. Peace and love, brother. Peace.